Hi, I'm Brian, Service Manager with Whole Latte Love, and today we're going to show you how to service and maintain the mushroom valve on E61 valve.
And Brian, you've got an Expo Bar machine here, but it's going to be similar on other machines?
Yes, one of the main machines that's going to be slightly different is ECM, where their mushroom valve does not have the stacked nuts like on the E61 for the Expo Bar. They are going to be able to be torn apart from the bottom side, but for the most part, everything's going to be the same.
And what do we need to do this process?
We got a couple of different things. Start with our cleaners. We have DesCal liquid cleaner. That is great for if you find some minor scale buildup inside of your group head. And then we have two coffee cleaners. We have the Clean. This is a liquid spray, and Cafiza, this is a powder that you would have to mix.
So you can use either one of those?
Correct.
Okay, what else we got?
We also have our Petrogel that we will use for doing any lubrication that we need to do inside. And then on our tools, we will need two different sizes of crescent wrenches. The largest one you're going to need is going to be at least 1.5 inches, just the size of the nut on that one. And then smaller, then you have brushes, polo wand, and some picks.
Okay, let's get into it.
Alrighty. All right. First thing we're going to want to start with is to protect the front of your machine. You're going to want to take a rag, just fold it over a couple times, just drape it right behind. That way you don't run the risk of knocking your wrench into the front panel.
You scratch the machine, you can't fix that.
No,
you can't,
no.
But it's
you can. It's not fun to do though.
Right.
And what you're going to want to do is make sure that your wrench is on there nice and firm, so that it doesn't slip at all. What I like to do is actually grab around the head of the wrench. Gives me a lot more control. That way, if it does start to slip, it's not just going to go flying off.
Okay.
I have control of it. So, tighten down, grip. And the first time you do this, after not servicing for a while, it's going to be really tight. You may have a little scale build up in there, so you may have to rock it pretty hard. This one's not as bad. You just give it a good push and get it started.
You showed me earlier actually kind of leaning into that wrench with your body a little bit.
Yes, sometimes that's going to be what it takes. They can get on there pretty good. But just give it a few turns until you're loose enough to move it with your hand.
Now, what would some of the symptoms be of needing to do this service?
If you have low flow coming out of your group head, best way to test that would be to take a cup with ounce markings on it and see how long it takes to fill 4 ounces into that cup straight from the group head. You want that to happen in about 15 to 20 seconds, 20 being on the high end. If you notice that you're having a longer flow rate, then it'd be a great time to check this out. Okay,
so you've got the mushroom out of there.
Okay. This is the mushroom valve.
This one, what's this one shape-wise? Fairly dirty?
Fairly dirty, yes. Definitely a little past due for some service on here.
Okay.
You'll see a lot of the scale buildup. The green, it'll be white, can be brown. All depends on what you have in your water mineral-wise.
Okay.
If you can see down in there very well, straight down the chamber is your jet. Now that is just a single small hole. That's what all the water travels through here, and it's one of the most common places to get scale buildup and create a really bad clog in the group head.
Okay.
So we're going to show you how to take this completely apart.
All right.
You can take a large wrench, put it back on the main nut, and then smaller wrench on the smaller nut, and then just twist. A couple turns, you get rest by hand. You're going to have one part that's going to come out of here. That is your screen. That is a particle screen. The water travels through the group head. It will go through this screen and try to catch as much of the sediment as it can. And that is a very good thing to try and clean out once every month or two, just to make sure that you're maintaining. It's a good way to indicate how much scale you could possibly have in the rest of the unit.
Okay.
And that's also another better view of the jet in there.
You can sort of see it. It's small.
It is. It is. That's why it's so easy for it to get clogged up.
Okay.
Okay. what you're going to want to do, especially if you have this amount of scale buildup, if you have just a little bit of dusting, you could give it a good rinse and take a Teflon brush and just scrape it off a bit. But something this severe, we're going to want to use the Descal for.
Okay, that's a descaler.
Yes.
Available on the website. I have a link for that.
So, key thing to remember when using any kind of descaler is that most of these components are actually chrome plated. These are actually brass underneath. You don't want to put these in the bath for too long. General rule of thumb, if you need to leave it in for 20 minutes, take it out at 20 minutes, give it a good rinse, give it a good brush off, and then put it back in the bath until everything is cleaned.
And you've got one that you've already had in the bath here, right?
Yes. This is how they will come out. This one was about the same as what the other one looked like. This is what about 20 minutes in the bath will do for you. It's everything nice and clean. You can see through the jet. See through the jet. The screen is nice and clear. You don't have any tears. It's an important thing to look for. It's any kind of damage to that screen. If this is damaged, you're going to want to replace it because otherwise it's not doing you any good.
Okay.
Okay.
So you'd have that in the descaler, use the brushes to scrub it off a little bit?
Yes, yeah. There's always a little bit left over when it's that bad built up. So just a couple quick brushes and you're good.
Okay.
So.
And then reassemble from here?
Reassemble. Give it a good dry off real quick. You want to inspect this Teflon gasket, the seals for each part of the nut.
Okay.
Make sure you don't have any cracking. If it's bowed out a little bit, it may not seal properly, so you'd want to replace that. Okay. These are usually pretty durable and last quite a long time. But just get that finger tight for now because we can tighten it the rest of the way once we put it back on the rest of the group. Another part that you want to inspect is the O-ring on the mushroom. This is very important because this creates the seal for the channel of the water flow.
Okay.
If this is damaged, you will actually end up with very unstable water temperatures. So give that a good inspection. Make sure you don't see any cracking, no tears. It's not kind of rolling out or anything. Good rule of thumb is to always lubricate that a little bit.
Okay.
Use the Petro gel. Don't need a lot, just a little dab.
And that's like a food safe sort of?
Yes, it is.
Lubricant? Okay.
Totally safe to use anywhere inside the machine. And just evenly distribute it until you see a nice sheen on the ring.
Okay.
Okay. Then you can take the mushroom. We'll set that aside for a minute. I'll show you something else inside here.
Okay.
Now, this is the spring to the top valve. Okay. Underneath there is your actuator. That is when you lift your lever up, it pushes that valve up and is what lets the water move through the machine.
Okay.
Since we have this open and accessible, it's a good time to check this. And it's a good thing we did.
That was a little dirty, huh?
It's a little dirty, and you can see a very deep ridge and even
some stuff.
The seal is completely corroded on that. So another video I think we're going to have to make, show you how to replace this.
Okay.
Let's go with the assumption that this was in far beher condition than what it is.
Sure.
Same idea. Just give it a quick wipe down. You can give it a spray with the Clean. I like this stuff a lot because you just give it a quick spray. Works pretty rapidly. And then just give it a quick brush down. Remove any of the coffee buildup. Pay close attention to the very tip here. You want to make sure that's really clean because that is where the cam inside of the E61 is going to be pressing on.
Yeah, okay.
So that is another spot that since we have it all open, we're going to take a little bit more Petro gel and just dab it on there.
Okay.
That'll just help it prolong the lifespan of that component.
Okay.
And once you're done, Lever back down. Just drop it right in. There's a little hole down there. And then spring over top.
Okay.
As tight as you can by hand.
Imagine you've done hundreds, if not thousands, of these.
I dream about them every night. Been doing this for quite some time now.
And again, be careful on the machine. You don't want to knock your wrench into the face of
Exactly.
the machine, right?
Once you get to a point where you're having to do a lot more pulling, is a great time
to get something in
put
there.
your rag back down there and get your hand back on the wrench. You want to get it nice and tight. Don't over crank it. Pay attention to the Teflon seals. Make sure you don't see them starting to pop out.
Okay.
Again, that's an indication that they're worn and they would need to be replaced.
So good and firm, but not too hard.
Exactly.
Right.
Once you have everything reassembled, you can turn your machine back on and run a test with it by putting just a blind filter in and doing a pressure test. And you'll see sometimes a little bit of water will trickle out, usually from in here. And at that point, you could just put your wrench back on there and tighten down a little bit further.
Give a little bit more.
If it still leaks and you can't get it to move any further, then again, you would probably want to replace that Teflon seal.
All right. Brian, thanks a lot.
Happy to help.
Want to learn more? Subscribe now so you'll know about the latest videos on everything coffee from Whole Latte Love.